to the first edition of Monstervania Camp Creepy. We're going to talk about some really good, newer, and older horror movies over the next 2 weeks. So, I've always wanted to do a bunch of video reviews, and I figured this would be a great time to start. I'm going to do some more gaming stuff and maybe some horror games because I really enjoy stuff like Silent Hill 2 and Dead Space. But definitely going to get over the next 2 weeks a bunch of good horror movie reviews. And the other day, a really good one came out. It's actually a fan film. We're starting out with a fan film, and it goes perfectly with our theme this year. And I'm going to review both movies. Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow. Never Hike Alone was a fan film made a couple years ago. It's released on YouTube. I was part of the Indiegogo and I got a Blu-ray copy. It's really good. And the prequel came out a couple days ago, and they're going to do, I think, 3 more films to make out the whole trilogy. So that's going to be exciting. So let's talk about the new one, Never Hike in the Snow. Now, Never Hike in the Snow was shorter. It was definitely a different feeling of a film, and they definitely kind of they made it seem like that guy Mark was like the main character and be focused on him and him escaping. It'd be a similar movie because he was like a hiker, but or a photographer or something, and he's he doesn't make it long in the film at all, but it just kind of shows the background, like how his mom reacts, like the relationship with his mom, and she gets like really upset. And before I go too deep in this, there will be spoilers, so. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. It's on YouTube. So, Mark is killed pretty quickly, and the effects on the death are pretty good. I took me by surprise because I figured it'd just be his story trying to escape like the first one, but they definitely want to build up to something bigger. So the sheriff, they kind of see the they don't find the body, but they see blood, so they know it's hinted at that the sheriff is the sheriff from Part 6 because Tom Matthews is in this too, who played he played Tommy Jarvis and in Never Hike Alone and in this one, and he played it in Part 6. So I really feel like the series is like a sequel to all of them, but maybe an alternate universe. Like they consider him Ghost Jason. He looked similar in both these movies, but he looked, I think, better. I think they did a lot better. The look of this movie is better than Never Hike Alone, but I actually prefer Never Hike Alone, and I'll get into that later. But for different reasons, they definitely have their advantages and disadvantages. But Ghost, they call him Ghost Jason, and I think it's maybe don't count like Part 9 Jason X, but this is just like years later, and like the world's forgotten about him, and they try to pretend he doesn't exist. So the cops are trying to cover it up, and one of the new cops is like really curious about it, and he goes and investigates it on his own. Um, and the sheriff goes and tells the mom, and she's obviously really upset about it. And then Tommy hears about it, and he tries to go track Jason down, but he's stopped. And then a young cop kind of goes and checks out, and he finds the camp, and he's ultimately killed in a fight with Jason. And it was interesting is they showed Jason sitting in front of a shrine to his mother, and he just leaves the bodies there. No idea what he does with them, but that's where he takes them, and he kind of just sits there, and he obviously like lives there. But there's always a debate whether Jason's always been undead, a zombie. It's not really clear, but I think in this one, it's definitely the progression from like the 6th one, and I think he's been dead a long time, and they know he's not going away, but it's the whole, if you don't bother him, he won't bother you. So the camp is definitely trying to do that. And a horror movie in the snow is always really cool, so the effects were good. It always looks good. I'm surprised there's not more movies. One of my favorite movies of all time, The Thing, takes place in Antarctica, so it's really cool when movies take place in those conditions. And they They definitely use it pretty well, but like I said, it's pretty short. The pacing of the movie is like a little quick because they throw a lot at you in 30 minutes, and I'm excited to see where they go because the future films are going to take place after Never Hike Alone, since this is a prequel. So I think it's a all together when this is all done. I think it's going to be a really good like sequel, web series or whatever you want to call it now. Um, then Never Hike Alone I think I like better because I kind of like the build up. Um, follows this guy named Kyle. He's a hiking vlogger, something. My dad's a 46er, and I've done a lot of hikes. I've done many of the New York hikes, so like I kind of like they hint that this takes place in like New York, Long Island, in a camp area. So I'm kind of really familiar with the locations. Like when I used to hike with my dad in the 46ers, there's definitely like old like cabins I could see this being shot at. I don't know exactly where this is shot at, but in both films it seems like they use the same location, and that's pretty awesome. And in Never Hike Alone, he's a vlogger. He takes a shortcut through this trespass area, and you see a shot of Ghost Jason, and he kind of appears behind him. So that kind of adds fuel to the fire that Jason can teleport. But it's a video for another time. But they he's running out of daylight, so he cuts through and he finds the camp and he starts investigating it. Hits a board. He's like, "Oh, Camp Crystal Lake." I heard it. He starts putting it together, and I heard stories of this place. And sure enough, unfortunately for him, unfortunately for Kyle, the stories are true. But what I like about it's kind of like a game of cat and mouse from this point on. Like he kind of finds Jason's shrine. He finds a lot of relics from the 80s, and he finds like all these like markings of crime scene markings, and it's like they kind of like hinted at there like from other movies, maybe reenactments. There's definitely like little Easter eggs in there, which are really cool to like find and pick out. And like I said, it's a different looking camp, but there are different looking camps in all of them. So it's like, is it its own universe, or it could definitely fit in. I mean, it's a fan film, so of course it's not canon, but like I said, really worth watching. And his battle with Jason's pretty good because he's a hiker, he's a survivalist, he's had a lot of experience, and he knows how to hold his own. He's he seems like he's a decent match for Jason compared to like what most final people are. And he fights Jason, and he gets away, but and this is during the day. But he cuts his leg on some barbed wire, and he left all the supplies at the camp. And he decides even though he's escaped Jason, his leg's gonna get infected. He's got to go and get his kit so that he can fix himself up and not get his leg infected. So he goes and gets it, fixes himself up, but Jason quickly realizes that he's back, and they kind of fight each other, and it's pretty good. They go through the camera, and they go through the cabin, and then you kind of come to this stalemate. He uses Jason's own axe against him, hits him in the neck. Jason stabs him. They fall to the ground. Jason like bleeds, but it looks like almost black, so it's like very unnatural. And he actually knocks his mask off, and you don't get a good look at it, but you can see it pretty well. And I have to say about this movie, even though like I like that they did some of it during the day, so you can a lot of horror movies especially like to just do night scenes where you really can't tell what's going on. But even during the night, there's not like too many moments where you're not sure what's going on. They shadow Jason's face, but it definitely showed how scary he can look, and I think that was really really cool. But he ends up getting his stuff and running away from Jason again, but he doesn't get super super far, and he kind of like passes out and has this like dream sequence, which kind of brings you back to some of the older endings of Friday the 13th, but it's a fake ending. And he wakes up in an ambulance and he's seeing Jason. He's being haunted almost like Tommy was, and it turns out that Tommy Jarvis, played by Matthews, is the driver of the ambulance that's taking him, and then they're like, all right, we got to clean him up, and then Jason does come and kills the two paramedics. Tommy gets back in the car and drives them away, and it's definitely opened up to an interesting sequel because I imagine Kyle's going to come back with Tommy and they're going to try to defeat Jason because he's now haunted by Jason as well. So I think that'd be a really cool. They both have a reason to go back, and it'll be really cool to see the final fight and how that goes. And I'm looking forward to it. Um, like I said, I like Never Hike Alone better, but I think Don't Hike in the Snow was a good, especially like a beginning. If you think this is like the first 20, put this all together makes one movie. It's a web series, so it's a little bit different, but definitely a good beginning piece. And it shows the characters and how much they can grow out a lot of these characters and have them come back. Um, the only knock I have on it is both films, and on the rewatch Never Hike Alone, I noticed it more. He uses a GoPro, so it's kind of like a first person slash third person a lot, but they like to use this body cam in snow and Never Hike in the Snow, and you know, I don't know, it didn't work that well in Doom, so I'm not in love with the whole first person thing. With the GoPro, it's a little bit different because like they're trying to make like a found footage feeling, so I get that because that's like kind of a big thing, but it does like a happy medium between them, so it's not bad. And uh, I think Never Hike Alone probably could have shaved off maybe 5-10 minutes, maybe a bit more. And then I think Never Hike in the Snow could have been like 5-10, like I think 40 minutes would be like a good mark for both movies. Um, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. And it's definitely one of the best fan films. And with the whole uh, lawsuit going on, we're not going to see an official movie for a while. And with remakes, you never know. You never know what you're going to get. So definitely go check it out. It's really well done, and it's got a lot of respect for me because it takes a lot to make something that good and faithful to the source material and make fans happy, and it's awesome. So go check it out. Thor out.